All right, let's do 4 downs with Brock chiming in. It's brought to you by our friends at Vulcan Tires. 4 great locations, expanding to 5 very soon.
Great guys, locally owned and operated. Vulcan Tire and Automotive. Take in that car, get a look at the brake pads, wheel alignment, tires, and more. They can do it bumper to bumper for you and your family. 4 locations and online, VulcanTireandAuto.com.
First down.
Because we heard Pete Carroll come out and say they're not going after a quarterback, and I know you're very familiar with Seattle. It's going to be Geno Smith or Drew Lock, it looks like. Who retires first, though, Pete Carroll or Tom Brady?
Start us off every time, Brock.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady retires first. He nearly did a year ago, realized, you know what, 6 weeks at home, I'm good. Let me go back to continue to play football while I'm still good. Eventually, father time wins. Eventually, entropy wins. Eventually, there's going to be an injury, a knee, a shoulder, something that just is not going to heal like it healed 10, 15 years ago. Pete's got a couple years left in him, so I think that's Tom ahead of Pete.
I mean, Pete Carroll and Nick Saban might be the 2 youngest 70-year-olds we've ever encountered. They look younger now than they did 10 years ago. It's crazy. I mean, you go look now. Nick Saban colors his hair and Pete doesn't.
You're making it sound like they sleep in cocoons at night.
Well, I mean, I'm almost convinced they do.
Did you know they're both small spooners too?
Yeah, you live longer. You live longer.
Yeah, I'll go Tom Brady first. I think Pete will still be chasing that championship, and he's got a lot of equity up there, right? I mean, they're not going to fire him.
No, Jody Allen, new owner, right, took over for Paul, and she's demanding, and they made a lot of changes this offseason. But, yeah, he's got a couple years left at least.
I'll go Tom Brady as well. I don't know why he came back as a Buccaneer fan. I transitioned in my head. I was almost looking forward to a rebuild. But I'm okay one more time with the GOAT, and I think that'll be it.
Yeah, I think it's Tom Brady as well.
Second down.
Okay, who makes a playoff appearance first as a head coach? Dan Lanning at Oregon or Mario Cristobal at Miami?
Brock?
Mario Cristobal.
Do you feel good about him getting to 1?
No, not necessarily. And, it's funny. I was trying to pinpoint and figure out, other than just QB for Jimbo, and I think it was a line that Chip Kelly had said to me last year. I thought it was pretty good. He said it was a game as USC UCLA. The year before was just a melee. It was ugly, undisciplined, unsportsmanlike, just awful. And he did not think either team handled that with any decorum, class, character. And he said, in this game, we're going to have to play with emotion and not let emotion play with us. And when I think of Mario, I think of Jimbo at A&M. I think too many times emotions played with them. And Mario does not have a track record yet to tell me that he can handle that over the course of 13 plus weeks. Dan Lanning, I just know nothing about. I know he's hyper qualified. People love him. He's 35.
Yeah, 34, 35. Yeah.
And how good is that program?
Oregon.
Oh, I mean, it's good. It's got a lot of resources to back it. I mean, it's still recruiting nationally. It still casts a net, unlike anybody else on the west of the Rocky Mountains, other than maybe what USC can with Lincoln Riley now. So it's got a much bigger net than everybody else west of the Mississippi.
I would say I've got a feeling Dan Lanning is going to do this. I think Dan Lanning's going to be a good football coach. Like, how I don't know about Brent Venables. I keep saying that. At Clemson, at Oklahoma from Clemson, I just think Dan Lanning's going to be a good coach.
I think they surprise everybody and win the Pac-12 this year, but it will not be enough to get them in the playoffs. Oregon. I think it's going to be Miami unless we change the NIL rules, which they're trying to do. I think he has the infrastructure down there now with some big money guys to pour in Miami to get the athlete he needs to win the ACC, which would get him into the playoffs.
Well, I'm fascinated to see what Clemson does this year.
Big
because
test.
The ACC was so wide open last year. Wake and Pittsburgh played for the championship. Wake's going to be good again this year. But Miami with Tyler Van Dyke, I mean, he looks part of an NFL franchise quarterback.
Yeah, but here's what I'll say about Dan Lanning, Brock, is Nick Saban desperately wanted to hire him as his coordinator, and Kirby Smart did everything necessary to keep him, and Oregon hired him. So that's a lot of smart football people that are around this guy and like him.
Yes, it is.
Doesn't mean he's going to win a ton of games.
There is no substitute for experience.
Yep.
I said to you earlier about Kirby and the struggles he's having with the Pittsburgh Maulers and learning. And there's no substitute for experience of hiring your staff.
Yeah.
I mean, it is one thing to be talented yourself, and you guys have come across uber talented people. I mean, the rock star, we're going to hear him in 15 minutes, right? Uber talented guy.
Thanks, man.
Yep, you got it. I mean, you strummed that one chord of Silent Lucidity like that, bro.
Yeah, I got your attention,
You
didn't
did. You won me over just like that. But it's quite another to, okay, I'm super talented. I'm really bright. Now I got to hire everybody around me, and I got to coach them up, and I got to bring them to my level of talent. I mean, there's a lot of work to be done.
And that's a tough staff to keep, I would imagine, because you have to travel a long way to recruit.
Yes, you do.
I mean, that is a haul to get those players out of California that they get.
How challenging is it to be really good at what you do, say Dan Lanning, but also trust your assistants enough to let them do the work that you really are used to doing yourself?
I mean, a tremendous challenge. You still see that's why Nick colors his hair, right? It
Yeah.
went great.
That's right.
Because,
Yep.
for
that was
that
great at
reason.
Michigan State, man.
But you guys know this. Like, you've been around, like I've been around people that I've worked with or whatever. They're super talented, and they get elevated to a position and into a management role, managing people. And it's a totally different world. Totally different world than it is just managing yourself, doing your own job, maximizing your own talent. Managing people when you've never done it, I'm sorry, I've got to see a track record before I jump in.
Fair enough.
Third down.
More wins in 2022, the Kentucky Wildcats or the Denver Broncos?
Kentucky football.
Yes.
Kentucky basketball will be a little unfair, yes. They're going to play 32 games.
Denver's going to have, 17 games, got more margin.
They do have
Tough
more
division,
margin,
man.
but tough division. I was going to
Brutal
ask you,
division.
being in Denver now, what are the expectations with Russell there?
Super Bowl. What are you talking about? We're going to win the Super Bowl. Bronco Country is going to win a Super Bowl.
That division
That's brutal,
is
man.
so
The
tough.
receivers alone in that division, right?
Bronco Country
pass
alive
rushers.
through 95.
Hey, quick
Bronco
weird,
Country will survive.
weird observation. Have you heard about the show Outer Range with Josh Brolin? It's a new
I've heard of it. I've not seen it.
Anyway, I'm watching it, but so they're in Wyoming, and in multiple shots you'll see Denver Broncos pennants in like bars and different places. And I lived in Kansas for a summer doing play-by-play baseball, but everywhere in the Midwest, everybody's a Denver Bronco fan. It's the strangest thing.
Yeah, I would say Denver, even with the pass rushers, even with the brutal division, Russell wants his $50 million a year. They're going to get the most motivated, and not that Russell ever struggled for motivation, but yeah, he is wired. So I think they'll probably be 10, 11, maybe 10. Win a playoff game, get to 11. Kentucky football going to win 11 games.
Will Levis?
If they got Will Levis in the top 10, they will.
What
But
am I
I'm going to go
missing on
Denver.
They won 10 last year.
They did.
What
come
am I
on.
missing on Will Levis?
You tell me, man.
We're right there with
I don't
you.
know. They were 10th in passing last year. They got it in the conference, not in the nation. 10th passing in the conference.
Just remember when Will Levis is on the show next week, Rockstar, all the negative stuff that has been said about him.
Can we even have him on
said a
now?
word.
Yeah, Dunaway is
Do
the
you
only
want to
one
know
that
the connection between Kentucky and Denver? Here's a little connection for you. The Kentucky Wildcats' new OC is Rich Scangarella.
That's right, yeah.
Rich Scangarella was the coordinator for Drew Lock when he was 5-1 with the Denver Broncos.
Oh, wow.
When
How about
grumpy
that?
Vic Fangio said, "I don't like this guy, and I'm going to fire him."
That was smart by
after
Vic.
1
That's-
year.
Good job, Vic.
After 1 year. And then he goes back, I think, to the Rams and the Niners, and now out to Kentucky with Mark.
Wow.
Fourth down.
Okay, celebrity birthdays today. George Clooney is 61. Bob Seger, 77. Better career, Clooney or Seger? I don't like Bob Seger's music.
Yeah,
I
but Bob
easily
Seger had to go
go.
great
You think,
career.
you think Clooney ever worked on his night moves?
I'm sure he did. Clooney's won Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor. He's been nominated for multiple ones. He's won one as a producer.
He probably won an Emmy for ER, right? Back in the day.
I
Was
doubt
that
he
a
won an
show?
Emmy for ER.
Who did more with less? Rockstar Seeger's voice is a...
It stands out.
Uh-huh.
Well,
It's a
that's
very
not a
uni-
compliment.
It's a very unique. Well, so does Bob Dylan, but
I
he's got
know.
a good voice. But it's just I'm not a big fan of that genre.
Yeah. I mean,
I do like we got tonight.
Clooney's just a beautiful man.
He is a
Amen,
beautiful
bro.
man. You're
Even at
absolutely right.
61.
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely right.
And a
beautiful
good
man.
businessman. I mean,
Hey, he's got tequila, the
Everybody's got a
Casamigos. But I mean, I think they got hundreds of $1 million
Yeah.
for the Casamigos brand.
I'm trying to find Rockstar his number one hits, Bob Seger.
Night Moves has got to be one.
Yeah.
Old time rock and roll.
I did
yeah.
never like that song.
Turn the Page might have hit number one.
Clooney more
Main Street.
popular.
Yeah.
Seeger did more with less.
something
Seger did do more with less.
something wind against the wind.
Against the Wind
Is that one of his
tunes.
songs?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Can you play that for me, Rockstar?
We cannot, Brock. We cannot play any music for you.
Here's the one thing about being on a digital platform. You got to be careful with the stuff you play. We've learned that. We've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And we've learned today that my southern accent saying the name Brock a lot on
Brock.
the air has made a lot of our bots pop up in our chat rooms
Brock.
today.
Oh, really, bro?
Yeah. So we got a lot of chat.
Well, Brock did teach me how to say that city in Washington that you're from. I've never known how to say.
Puyallup.
Puyallup. Yeah.
Like a church pew.
Ollip?
Yep.
Ollip.
Puyallup.
There you go. I've never known how to say that.
Yeah, it was so fun for me. So the voice of football for me, I don't know who it was for each of you men.
Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson.
Keith Jackson.
The man.
Yep. And when Keith Jackson said, "In comes the big lefty from Puyallup," that's where his daddy coached him. It was just
Brock,
like,
that had to be a dream come true.
So cool.
So you had that on videotape?
Oh, yeah. You go back and watch the game. I knew that Keith was calling the game, and I watched all these games for decades and decades. And Billy Joe, was from our hometown. My dad coached Billy Joe Hobart, and Keith did a lot of those Husky games in the 90s with Billy Joe. And, so I think my first time into a game was, here comes the big lefty from Puyallup.
Where his daddy
That's where
coached
his
him.
daddy coached him.
So everybody thought, your dad knows Keith Jackson?
Y'all had a lot of great quarterbacks. Billy Joe's the last to win the national championship with Brunel.
Yep.
So were y'all the Vikings?
Hey, Damon came in.
How about
Damon.
that? How about me calling him the Viking?
That's
and
right,
they were the Vikings.
yeah. Damon came in and to spell Dan Marino. What year was that? 94, 95 probably?
A little later than that, I think. 96.
It was Jimmy Johnson was the coach. Jimmy Johnson, yeah.
Went 5-1.
Yeah.
We have
Damon
an
played
article
well.
that my dad framed in his office back home in Puyallup. It says Marino who?
I know.
Huard,
I remember, people were seriously, people were already saying, "Hey, Marino, maybe the ship has sailed, and let's go to this Huard kid."
Games passed him by.
Games passed him by.
Did he like playing for Jimmy Johnson?
He respected him. So, he did. So, Damon, look at this. Damon, and actually myself as well. The two of us had incredible journeys. Damon played for Jimmy, for Belichick, for Dick Vermeil.
Wow.
Ended with Herm. And then backed up Marino and Tom Brady.
Yep. Wow.
Yeah, not bad. And
That's
then
not a
I was
bad career.
obviously with Coach Dungy, a Hall of Famer, and Peyton, and pretty good crew, and Mike Holmgren that I got to play under as well.
Wow.
That's our 4 downs brought to you by our friends at Vulcan Tires.
And
Not
your
just
daddy.
tires, bumper to bumper.
Yeah, anything you need, brake pads, wheel alignment, and more, they can do it for you and your family. Stop in, locally owned and operated, 4 locations and online, vulcantireandauto.com.